Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let me get Brandon in. All right, Brandon, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mama. How you doing, sweet baby?
Good, 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 good. Let's
Good.
rock
Good
it
morning.
Thursday, right?
What's you say? What you say?
I said, let's rock it Thursday, day
Let's let's rock it
113.
Thursday. Good morning to you. You're a little dark. I can. Yeah, it might be
Really?
my phone. Looks like you're a little dark.
Oh, I got all my stuff going here.
You
How
do.
about, yeah. Let's see, is that better?
There we go. It's a little better. A little better. They can see you. They can see as much as they need to. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to the End This Season podcast. This is our day 113. 13. I just be wanting to see you, Mama. That's it.
That's all right. Let's see. Maybe I didn't do, is that better?
Yeah, actually, that is a little better.
Okay.
Let me see. Yep, that's a little better. I'm doing mine too.
Okay.
Yeah, we getting professional in here, trying to make sure y'all can see us. But welcome once again to the End of the Season podcast. The powerful mother son duo as is listed down there. The power comes from Mama's side over there. I hope y'all got your coffee. I hope you are ready. Hope you got the crust out of your eye because we are gonna go through.
Coffee
Yes,
with the spoon.
I
With the
don't have the
spoon
spoon.
now. What?
I got a chopstick though. I don't know if that counts.
No.
Where did we eat yesterday? We ate at a great Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, that food
Um,
was so good. I came home and talked about it. It was so good.
Really good. I'm glad you liked it. It's pretty authentic. It seems like the people there really care about it, and I think that's important. If you for people out there who have a business, make sure that when I think this was a couple days ago, it was basically about business. Like I'm not a business.
Open for
Um,
business.
Open for business. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Open for business. And I was thinking about that Jay-Z line. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. Um, but when you have a business, when it's well kept, when the service is good and attentive, that breeds more people to come because you're adding value. I think so many business owners are just trying to make the dollar and not trying to add value to their customers' life. So if you can add value, that value is going to come back, and you can charge pretty much what you want. Because for what we paid for last night, I think we had some great service, some quality service, some quality ingredients. So it was good, and it was in celebration of my daughter's graduation from school, from her preschool. So thank you, Mom, for coming out with that. That was a beautiful union of two sides of the family. So thank you.
Yeah, I
Just
wouldn't
want to
have
say that to
missed
you.
it. Wouldn't have missed
Yeah.
it.
So who we got
No
in the
way.
chat?
So we got KL Nelda Brown by way of Nelda Brown this morning. He says, "Hey everyone." Oh, thank you. He said that's one pretty woman. Thank you, KL. I appreciate that. And Miss Brenda says, "Good
Absolutely.
morning, everyone." So
I got
that's who
some
we
people.
have. What about on Instagram? It looks like we're up and going there, y'all. We
We're
did it
up
a
and
little.
going there, so I usually give them a minute or two to hop in. I don't have anybody in there just yet, but I know they coming. I know they're coming.
All right,
I'll shout
all
them out
right.
when they come in. But for now, I guess we can jump right into it.
Let's jump
I
right
really
into
liked
it.
how yesterday we kept it short and sweet and compact. I think that added some value. We're gonna want to make sure to give y'all some good time to be able to go and get ready for work. All right, and or if you go to work business or just for your day, we want to make it short and sweet for you. So if you don't know already, or if you're new here, whether on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram Live, all three platforms we do broadcast on. But if you're new here, we are going through the book Daily Motivations for African American Success. You good?
I was trying to bring you up by yourself, but you're all
Oh,
good.
okay. I was like, is something going on my phone?
No.
But we are reading through Daily Motivations for African American Success by Dennis Kimbro. We started this journey in February during the Black History Month in acknowledgement and recognition of Black history, the people, our success, our shared story. And we thought that through that story, through that lens, we could tell our story and project our story in a bit. We can affirm ourselves, our own power, our own success through affirmations and motivations. So a little bit more about this book. If you don't have the book, please get the book. Please get the book first off. But if you haven't, if you don't have this book, a little bit more about it. Daily Motivations for African American Success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead to the achievement of your true goals. And 365 short, powerful motivations, one for each day of the year. Dennis Kimbro, author of the popular Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes and when to say no, and to look inward for answers to life's challenges. So each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans as Malcolm X, Marion Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, Mother Hale, Reverend Leon Sullivan, and hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year, but what it teaches will last you a lifetime. So that's a little bit about the book. I see Mom over there on the
I'm
technical
playing.
directing
Yeah, yeah, I
side
did it.
pulling.
You did it. Did y'all see it? I
I
brought Brandon
see.
up by
I see.
himself.
I looked up. All I saw was my big old head, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" You know, that pretty
Trying
woman
some
over there. We got to see
trying
you
some
too.
new
But thank
stuff.
you.
Trying some new stuff here.
I see you. I see you. But yeah, Mom. Any reflections about yesterday before we jump into it?
Hmm. No.
No. Just had a
Not that
day,
I'm
huh? Had a
sure.
good day.
Not that I'm
Hmm.
I had a good day. I had a growing through it kind of day.
Mm.
So
Well,
growing through
good.
it. But that's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. You know, it's always interesting.
That's it. It's like
The
yesterday said.
comfortability.
You can expect it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comfortability, right? And I'm sure there were I mean, every day, but definitely even yesterday for myself too. There were moments that were uncomfortable, but I felt like again, you know, there was a reason for it, and I expect to be tested from all the reading that we're doing in this book. I expect for
Yeah.
the situations and tests to pop up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? In life, so it's always fun to see those pop up and then to be able to recognize them and be able to reference back to something, right? Like whether it's this book or whether it's something you might have told me, or whether it's the Quran or the Bible. You know, it's something. I love having something to reference back to and say, you know what, that's what I believe in. That's what I've affirmed in myself. That's what I've accepted as a value system for my life. You know, and I know what to do.
Yeah.
So, but cool. Let's jump right into it. All right. So today's title is Just the Facts, ma'am. Just the Facts, ma'am. And our quote comes from Robert Woodson, director of the National Center for Neighborhood Enterprise, said that the only thing you can learn from studying poverty is how to be poor.
Mm.
Robert Woodson, director of the National Center for Neighborhood Enterprise, said the only thing you can learn from studying poverty is how to be poor. And that's an interesting quote for, or interesting stance for someone to have, isn't it, Mo?
Yes.
Um, the passage goes, one of the most common reasons people have for not pursuing their dreams is the state of the economy. To these types of to these types, the economy or the timing or the circumstance is never quite right for success.
Mm.
These individuals never stop to realize that the economy is not something, quote, out there. It is something, quote, in here. No matter where the economy is or is headed, those who study economic facts and figures have the perfect reason for not chasing their goals. For example, the same people who study poverty or crime can prove unequivocally that you can study poverty or that you cannot walk 3 blocks in New York City without being badgered by the poor, nor breathe for 3 minutes in Los Angeles without succumbing to smog. Successful people don't depend on fortunate circumstances. For example, S.B. Fuller, an uneducated man born to sharecropper parents, experienced the type of poverty that is thankfully rare today. His father left home when he was quite young, and his mother died when he was in his teens. 20 years later, he arrived in depression laden Chicago with nothing more than a briefcase full of ambition and a capacity for hard work to match. Before his death, he would build a business empire worth more than $10 million. Even if times are so tough that only 1% of the population is fulfilling their dreams. With a US population of 275 million, quote now it's over 300, almost 400 million. Um, with the US population of 275 million, the fact remains that more than 2.75 million people are reaching their goals. Certainly, you can be one of them. And so the affirmation for today that we read 3 times, one time for me, one time for you, and one time for the person you're going to send this to is, I know the facts. I can be, have, or do whatever I wish. I can live a more prosperous life. I know the facts. I can be, have, or do whatever I wish. I can live a more prosperous life. And last time, I know the facts. I know the facts. I can be, have, or do whatever I wish. I can live a more prosperous life. What you got for me, mama?
Brandon, a briefcase and full of ambition.
Mm,
That's what I got. He arrived with a briefcase full of ambitions and a capacity, right, for hard work to match. You
mm,
gotta do the work. You gotta do the work, period. You gotta do the work to grow, right? You gotta do the work, grow internally. You gotta do the work to grow outwardly successfully from the financial standpoint. However, I do believe that you do have to know that you know what's in you in order to go to a place and have just your briefcase full of ambition, faith. You got to have some big faith, not just of that mustard seed, right? You got
mm-hmm.
big faith. You got big faith to take and I do believe God wants us to move like that. Why? Because what you're saying is, God, I trust you. I trust you. Even when it seems I made the wrong move, I get back to my place where, you know what? Let's get back on track here. I trust you. I heard Tyler Perry say something similar. How he would be so certain that he heard God's voice said, "Go do this play, do this," and he would get there, and one or two people would be in the audience, and he'd be like, "God, I know I heard you." Now, what do you think God was doing?
Mm.
Preparing him. Preparing him. What if he would have been like, "Man, I don't keep doing this. This is embarrassing. I'm broke. I'm staying in my car. I'm homeless." But he didn't. But he's talked about there came some times where it came close to where he was about to say, "No, I'm hearing somebody else's voice." You know, so the briefcase full of ambition. Really, I didn't get to read this one before because, yes, like I said, yesterday was just a busy day for me. But the briefcase with the ambitions, you guys, there it is. There it is. What's in your briefcase? Are you showing up with little faith? Are you showing up unprepared? Not willing to do the hard work. So, I mean, that's where it is. I am at the point, like even this morning, that's what keeps getting me up is I'm on a mission. People on a mission don't sleep, right? Don't sleep past this time every day. I have to push myself up and say, hey, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. If I want what I want, I got to get it. I got to get up and get it, right?
Right.
It's not just going to come to me. Because oftentimes when it just comes to you, it's just the facts, man or ma'am. If it just comes to you, if you don't have the work ethic, you're not going to keep it. You're going to lose it. Not going to know how to use it. Because he could have shown up with that briefcase and full of ambition, but not know how to use it, apply it. Right? So that's what I got. That's just the facts, Brandon. That's just the facts.
Just the facts. And I guess the facts are that I can be, have, or do whatever I wish and live a more prosperous life. I'm gonna start with that affirmation today. Um, I think we're almost programmed sometimes to, as much as we say, that we can do and all these things. I think the way we kind of exist as a society isn't that way. You know, I will say this though: when COVID happened, I did see people branching out a little bit more. I saw people taking a chance on themselves. I started seeing people um, contemplate the deconstruction of the norm, right? The going to
Mm.
work, the how they interacted with their families or didn't. They found and when they started interacting with their families, sometimes there was a lot of friction. I remember hearing so many different stories about that, about people, and I'm sure that was caused in some part by stress, the stress of the moment and situation, and the unknown about this new pathogen or new virus. And I saw more people starting businesses, right? I saw more people investing in a sense in their hustle. Now, some of those were with those POP loans for some people, but that's a whole another topic.
I was going
Um,
to ask you if you thought it was because of the extra money that was coming in to people. If you thought more people were kind of investing in themselves, if you thought that was it because of the extra money that was coming in as well.
well, I don't
Um,
know. I think it could be that could be part of it for a lot
mm,
of people. If you count, the POP loans, the stimulus checks, and things like that. But I think a lot of people also didn't get money for a time, and they were kind of trying to pay it back. There are people that were getting behind. Was a moratorium or something like that, where people were getting behind on their mortgages and things like that. So I think some of it, I think getting it in that lump sum made people say, maybe I have a little bit more to take a chance on. And most Americans, what was it, 60 or 80%, something like that, I forget the exact number, don't have $2,000 in their bank account, in their savings. The vast majority of Americans. So I guess giving that extra boost of 1, 2,000 or whatever it was per person in your household, um, made them, maybe I have the freedom now. Maybe I have the resources now to take a chance on myself. Um, but then I think about people, and I don't want to call his name out, but him, Mom. He's been down there to the house and watched football with Jimmy and
yeah.
done things like that. But I look at young men like him who came to me one day and said, "Big bro, I want to learn how to save money." Right?
Mm.
Do you know that I told him what I knew about saving money, and he came back couple months later and was like, "Okay, bro, I've done this. I've been working this temp job and this, and I live with my dad, so I can kind of save this. I'm not paying anything." And so he has saved up within a short time, within a year, he saved $10,000, right? And that was last
Mm.
year.
But Brandon, can I say there's
And,
something in him? Like you guys, have you met someone and you just kind of know that they're going to make it, whatever
mm,
making it is to them, that there's something internally that you see where you know that nothing's going to stop them. Because if it was, enough had happened to where they would have stopped, right?
already,
But
yeah.
I've always seen that in him from day one of meeting him. Like, different kind of cat. This he's different. He's not your average young man or older man. He just has it. He has something in him, a burning desire. That briefcase and some more is in his briefcase.
And a very quiet, very kind
Very
kind of
quiet.
reserved
Humble.
and quiet. Yeah, very
Very
humble man.
humble.
And so to see him do that last year, and then this year and be like, he's like, brother, you helped me so much. I'm like, man, I wish you would have helped me. Like no, like what did you do? His consistency, I think, is incredible. For him to do that in such a short amount of time, and then when I said that statistic about the percentage of people that didn't have $2,000 in their savings, um, he was actually kind of taken back. He was like, huh. And you know what he said? He said, well, I never do things based on what other people have, or do
Mm.
things based on what other people are doing. I think it was, and I was like, "Yep, that's your facts." You know what I mean? So this kind of reminded me of him. You can be, have, or do whatever you wish, and he had very small means. You know what I mean? And now he's grown that uh, to a good little cushion for himself, and he's more able now to pursue his passion. Right. So that was good. Another thing that I noticed in here was the excuses. Right. I think everyone wants to be like, it gets back to that thing of not wanting to make $1 million. They want to spend $1 million, right? Also, not wanting to make $1 million. Let's say the goal is finances, right? Not wanting to make it and wanting to spend it looks like, oh, it's too hot outside. Oh,
Mm.
it's too everything isn't perfect right now. The conditions, the light was in my eye. Oh, this I'm a little tired. These excuses that are based on timing, circumstances, the economy. It's never, like the book says, never quite right for success, right? As if they don't expect any challenge or obstacle on their climb, on their leveling up. They don't expect any leveling up of the circumstances around them or of the challenges and obstacles that might present themselves. And I don't think that is a recipe for success. Sometimes you have to embrace the suck, as my coach says. He says, we know when we come to train, we're going to get tired. You get tired, don't get surprised, right? Embrace it. Know that that's what you came here to do. Um, when you come to, and I'm speaking about sports and MMA, but this also applies in life. When you come to train, every now and then something's going to happen that's a little uncomfortable. You're going to be in an uncomfortable position. There might be somebody that's wrestling you that's bigger than you. You still have to make the most of the situation and get yourself in a dominant position. And I think the same thing exists in life, that we don't ask, and I've said this before on the show, we don't ask for a lighter burden. We just ask for
Mm.
bigger shoulders,
Mm.
right? And I
Right.
think that's the difference between a a person of success that when you see them, you just see that they're gonna be successful. Why? Because, like you said, Mom, they didn't complain or say, well, because of this or because of that, it's the reason why I can't do. They weren't dependent on anything other than God, of course. But they weren't a dependent variable in the story of their life. They were a independent variable, for y'all to go back to like old science school, which means that the things that happen around it don't affect it. They're still um, front and center, on course, you know, head down toward their goal. So be that person in order for success. I do have to say though that I don't really agree with or I don't understand it just yet. With the Robert Woodson quote, where it's the only thing you can learn from studying poverty is how to be poor, because I think you can learn a lot by studying poverty, but I think you have to study the poverty within yourself. If you ignore it, you'll get rich quick and you'll get poor quick. There was a young man. Oh, go ahead. You go ahead, Mom. You
I
had
was going
something.
to say with I thought that was interesting as well, but the more we get into it, so it says the only thing you can learn from studying poverty is how to be poor. I don't know if he's putting it on like for how for the reader to be poor,
Mm,
like how, because it's interesting the way, and then just the facts, ma'am, and it comes back down to I know the facts. I can be, have, or do whatever I wish. I can live a more prosperous life. Um, so I'm looking at it now like he's saying how to be poor, how someone else can have a poor mindset. They've taken their circumstances. So how those people have decided to be poor. Some people who buy into it. Like where it says successful people don't depend on fortunate circumstances. For example, S.B. Fuller, an uneducated man born into copper parents, experienced a type of poverty, and I thought this was interesting, that is thankfully rare today. I don't know about that either. His father left home when he was quite young, and his mother died when he was in his teens. So This, if studying poverty, it would, for this guy, it would bring you a different perspective because he didn't buy into the circumstance. He didn't buy into what happened to him. I think that was yesterday. Not the worst that has been done to him. He
Right.
bought into who he was. So I think it's telling us about, it's saying the person who buys into poverty, who is
And
if that makes sense. Because
you
it
know what I
is,
think it
it's
is?
interesting. What's that?
I think is, you know how somebody said, I ain't studying you. I think it's studying than studying. And that makes it more sense.
Hmm. Study poverty is how to be poor.
I think you know how Zora Neale Hurston writes in that southern accent where she'll delete the G and just put the apostrophe and be
Hmm.
studying,
Hmm.
or something like that. I think for me to understand it in the way that you just said it, I have to place that meaning on it instead of studying. Like, let me one of my books back there, studying poverty over time, right? And how it's exacerbated and things like that. Because like even with you, you said one of the things you said, a level of poverty that doesn't exist today. You said, I don't know about that, right? Because you studied in some degree poverty, whether it be poverty of the mind or poverty of the, and you can't for example, you see in those movies, in these exorcist movies, right?
Hmm.
When someone's casting out a demon, don't they first have to call it out by name?
Hmm. Yeah.
Right? Don't they have to
Yeah.
point it out first? So like if and I'm just saying that you have to analyze yourself and your community. And I think studying that poverty doesn't mean, like you said, you have to buy into it, right? To accept it as a reflection of yourself. But you can say that despite that, I'm going to be successful. You can
Right.
say that, somebody has made it. And if they haven't, I'm going to be the first to make it and to do it this way. You know what I mean?
So, Brandon, remember the class? I just thought about this. Remember the class that I took? It was a 20-week class, Ruby. That's where I learned about the Ruby pain. And this is what they were doing. They were studying poverty. People who was a low income bracket got to come to this class for free. In fact, every class that they showed up, they were given $20. But one of the most interesting things I learned there, and for sure, not everybody who is considered in the status of being poor, for example, they talked about, about every year a person with a lower income is going to get about 6, 7,000, probably more, depending on how many children and things like that that they have, right? Of income tax, their tax return. And it is determined that most of them will blow it. Okay, technically, will blow it. Meaning they'll just blow it. They will go do things that they've not been able to do all year, right? And when asked the question why, most of them felt like my situation is not going to change. I know how to do what I've been doing, living paycheck to paycheck. This is the one time a year that I get to splurge. And then I go back to life as I know it,
Mm.
being poor, technically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
made me think about that. That was interesting because, how often have you said, why do you just get the money and blow it? Why don't you just imagine if you just put those $6,000 up in the bank and then keep doing what you've been doing? Next year, put the other six and keep doing what you know how to do, you say. And then 2 years, you have $12,000 because you still, you're doing what you do. But get this, if they did that, wouldn't their benefits be cut? Because they now have money in the bank. It's a two-sided coin. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I need to share that, you guys, because there's a whole course. If you really want to study, it was the mindset of poverty. You may have my
Mm.
books. Yeah, I see
I
you
think I
looking.
do.
Do
It's
you
called
have my
Studying
books?
Poverty. I think I
Yeah, do
got
you
it.
have my books?
I think I got
My
it over
husband
there.
steals my books. He really does. But that was the most. That's where I met Paul. Bless his soul, because he's not with us. And
Mm.
Paul and I were going to, and I was doing I was going to do a documentary on it. So they allowed me to come into the class, and I met Paul, who was attending the class. And so Paul was going to help me do the documentary, and we had started doing the lead work, the interviewing, but Paul was killed in an accident. He was a white male, white male, about 30ish at that time. But that was an interesting class. So I think I can relate. Poverty is how to be poor, right? So again, not for you to be poor, but how people who consider themselves to be poor, how they remain there,
Mm.
how they stay in their head.
Give me 1 second, Mama. I'm gonna keep
You
it to
want
you.
that book, don't you?
Yeah, I gotta see it real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
I'm gonna
think
see
it'd
if I
be
can.
beneficial for people, because again, go ahead, Brandon, you can go ahead
Okay.
and do your thing. I'm going to focus on, let's see, it's 7:30. I know the facts. I can be, have, or do whatever I wish. I can live a more prosperous life. That's the facts, you guys, because if you heard me say here, you can tell me your story and I'll say, oh, whoa, oh, whoa, oh, whoa. I won't say that, but I'm saying that in a way where you can tell me your story and I can tell you someone else's story who, man, who is much worse, right? Just truth be told, it's worse, but they made it through. They made it through. They did not allow their circumstances, or if I go back to yesterday, don't get too comfortable was the topic. Um, we must define ourselves by the best that is in us, not the worst that has been done to us. That was the quote yesterday. So this guy who shows up, his dad left when he was early, his mom passed away in his teens. What do you think life was like for him? What do you think life was like for him internally? He had something because he shows up with a suitcase full of ambition and a capacity for hard work to match what was in his suitcase. So you just can't have the suitcase. You just can't have the suitcase and what's in the suitcase. You have to have the work ethic to push forward, to push through, to push on, and know the facts that I can be, have, or do whatever I wish, no matter my circumstance or circumstances, no matter, right? That you have the ability, and you have the facts. I'll say that. So, Brandon, did you find them?
I didn't. I did. I think it's in the other room. So
Okay.
I'll find it later.
I know it's like the framework, but I do think you have them now that I'm looking around for mine too. But the framework, we'll share it, you guys. We'll
Yeah.
share it. We'll share it. And that came kind of from where y'all have heard me mention Ruby Payne, where they say they can tell where a third grader is going to be by their reading level. So something like that. I can't. Ruby Payne has some good programs where you can study the education role. And this is she was a teacher, and this is a young man that told her, "We don't make A's here. You know what I'll do if I you know what happened to me if I get an A,
Mm.
in my neighborhood." You know what happened. Where you can you imagine children just having that mindset that I don't need to. You should imagine. I'm gonna say that because a child will go to school and be like, "Study for what? I'm not
Right.
getting out of this neighborhood, right? Make an A for what? This is my life." And for any child that thinks that and speaks that, y'all, I feel like I've not did my job.
Mm.
Like I feel like I've not did my job for a young person to think that where they are has to be where they will end up. Not saying anything is wrong with it. What's wrong is the fact that that's their mental mindset of it.
Right. Mom, can I add something to that?
Sure.
Roderick, whose handles AD like Sunny on Instagram, said that by their reading level in third grade, they start anticipating
That's
that
it.
they will be incarcerated. I remember
Incarcerate.
hearing that some years ago, and I had a conversation about that yesterday with a friend of mine. I
Yeah.
was taking him home from the gym about how they project those education levels in order for incarceration. So it goes to show that there's a mindset that's associated with incarceration, right? And also not only that, but there's an organization and a system that benefits. There's a lot of cities and counties that benefit from incarceration, from those fees and
Right.
the court
Mhm.
fees and the all you have to pay to the state for the licensing and getting your license renewed, and not renewed, but like getting your privileges back and things like that. There's an entire, I want you to go to your city budget and take away, see how much is actually there from that comes into your city revenues. I bet it's a tremendous amount, right? And you can see just how dependent most of our major cities are on incarceration. But I do want to bring up one thing, Mom. Uh, Successful people don't depend on fortunate circumstances. The first line of the third paragraph. Successful people don't depend on fortunate circumstances. So what does that mean? That means that you have to be somewhat of an optimist, right? You have to somewhat be an alchemist, meaning you have to see the vision before your eyes do. You have to see it when no one else does. You have to see it when the best practices I have when I train at law school MMA and fighting, the best practices I have are the days when I don't want to go, when I don't feel like going. That's when I learn the most. That's when I overcome something. And that's when I feel like I grow the most, is when I don't feel like going. And so I've gotten to the point now that, especially if I have a fight or something coming up, let's say I don't want to go. If I'm not too sore, or there's an emergency or something like that, if it's not a product of me bettering myself, I'm probably gonna go, because I've programmed myself now to be like, that's when I get the most out of it, not when it's convenient and perfect and all that. Like, those are good, but you're not growing through that, right? That's comfortable. And usually I know that when most people are comfortable, they slack a little bit. So I was like, okay, let me put myself in the most uncomfortable situations. So start to retrain your mind and to rewire your mind to not look for fortunate circumstances in order to pursue your goals, to not look for fortunate circumstances to improve your own fortune. Know that you have some ability to create your reality. You have some ability to be able to change your reality from the state that it's in right now. So even if times are so tough that only 1% of the population is fulfilling in their dreams, why can't you be of that 1%? I do believe that it's a mindset. And I'm speaking to myself first on this, y'all. So don't think that all this motivation, affirmation, and encouragement, or even my perspective, is just to the people on the other side of the screen. I am also saying this to myself, because this is it, for me. It's good. I can see myself on this screen right now, right? I can see myself on the screen. I can see my mother. And I think that is helping me mentally. I think that is helping us to see ourselves. So if you can't see yourself, go in the mirror. People are going to call you crazy. Go in the mirror and tell yourself these affirmations at the end of the day, right? Speak positively into your life. All right. So I think that's
Brandon, I
about
was
all I
trying to
got for
find
y'all.
that book. Yeah, that's all I have. I'm gonna find that book to
I
say.
know. Look,
It's a whole stack of them too. Brandon, you got my books, man.
maybe. I think I do.
All right.
I think I do. I'm going to find it.
Yeah, we'll share it, you guys. Because again, reading, I'm telling you guys, reading brings about understanding. And as we've mentioned, it allows you to go places that you may not go. And it allows you to meet people that you may never meet. And understanding the mindset of poverty um, is just like anything. Like if you study it, I guess the book says the only thing you have to learn is how to be, right?
Mm.
But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that you will take that on. You understand how people have learned to be poor, like with keeping the mindset, because get the tax money back and put it in a safe rather than putting it in the bank. You may say that's the wrong thing to do, but y'all, we live in a system and in a world that does not want you to grow financially,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually, physically. They want to keep you distracted and where you are,
And
right?
why
And
is
if
that?
that's not
Why?
where you want to be, then you don't
Mhm.
have to be.
And we have to think too, like, why is it that
Yeah.
the systems at play around us prefer
Land.
us to be in poverty?
Yeah.
And in poverty, I mean, I don't just mean that financially. I mean that mentally.
Mindset.
I mean that spiritually. I mean that emotionally. I do mean that um, financially as well. Because if you don't have the money, but you have the work, because you're the human resource, then who's getting the money? The system itself, right?
Where are
The
they going
hyper
with it?
capitalist system, colonial system. You got, we really have to think about, we have to deprogram ourselves, right? This, we are more blessed than many people in other parts of the world, right? Very, very much more blessed. Even the last time I was in Mexico, as beautiful as it was, you know, my wife was saying yesterday that when we got back to the States, especially with children, she felt a slight bit of relief, just a slight
Hmm.
bit of relief, because um, of, you know, when we're going to different places in Mexico, you know, we were in a rural place, so in order to get something, we have to go all the way to the city, traverse mountains and animals and little roads and things like that. Um, Beautiful scenery, but you know, when you got a 3-year-old in the back, he's like, "Mommy, I got a pee pee," or you got a daughter, you know, who can't just use the restroom like a little boy. You know, you're like, "Oh man, where are we gonna go?" So something as simple as, you know, uh, finding a restroom so easily. So something as simple as getting Chinese food like we did yesterday, right? Food that is indigenous to a whole different part of the world, or getting fruit that's out of season where we live, but is in season on the other side of the world. All of these comfortabilities can pacify us. They really, really can. But we have to think about why these systems exist, to give us this lap of luxury, a lack of complacency. But when those, you notice when those systems start to fall down, like they did in COVID, everyone started thinking, wait a minute, I don't know if I could survive on my own. I don't know if I could. You know how many community gardens were started, or not community gardens, but backyard gardens were started? How many home projects were started? I could barely find wood, y'all. Wood was so dang expensive because people started building and working on themselves, right? Once the pillars started to buckle in this idea, the system feeds off man, but man feeds the system. All right. That in my idea is the equivalence of the matrix, right? We have to bring ourselves out of the program to see what life is. What the way that we live, most of us, is an illusion of life. We don't know how to farm, we don't know how to build, we don't know how to, if the grocery stores went down tomorrow, what does success look like to you now? Eating.
Yeah.
And you ain't
Wow.
even, you might not even be grateful for what you just ate. Did you thank God for what you just ate? That I thank God for the coffee that I say Bismillah or in the name of God before but it's, but to be honest, it's almost
Routine.
automatic now,
Yeah.
right? But do I
Do
am I
you really
really
feel? Do
am I
you really
really feeling it?
understand? Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
Am I grateful that I got coffee beans from Costa Rica and I live in
Mm-hmm.
America? But if
Mm-hmm.
the grocery stores went down tomorrow, do you know how valuable this coffee would be to me? If I couldn't go to Walmart or go to Kroger or anything like that, you know how valuable this would be to me? So that's why we're raising crops right now in our yard, in our backyard. That's why we're raising chickens, getting our own eggs, so that the next generation can be better suited for life, for real life, than we were. Right. So what does success look like truly? Are our ideas of success not only muffled by circumstance and how good or perfect the circumstance is, right? Is if we take that perfect circumstance away, if we take that Kroger away, if we take that 9 to 5 away, what does success look like? Because surely we can't take Kroger with us when we die. What does success look like?
Yeah.
You know, whatever that is, rush towards it. Expect some turbulence, you know, but also expect to get there. And that's all.
Yeah.
That's all I.
And Brandon, I'll end with this, and this is something I saw my brother Mike, Uncle Brother Mike, put out there. That's why I feel it's important to be intelligent than smart. There's a lot of smart people working for the intelligent. So
Hmm.
that struck something in me. All right. So this is, I'm going to put this out here, and I'm going to share it. This may be something we need to talk about. So, intelligence, good memory, logic, math skills, test taking ability, rule following. Smart, high degree of empathy. This is what it says: bullshit detection, organization, communication skills, persuasion, social awareness. So that's the difference. I just thought, smart. He'd rather be intelligent than smart. Thought that was very interesting. So y'all, we might need to talk about that. But also, this is the last thing for me. You talked about the frog, putting the frog in the water and letting the water heat up slowly because the
Mm-hmm.
frog will stay in there. You guys, way before COVID, my thing was we're going to wake up one day and we're going to be locked in our own houses from the inside out. We're going to need permission to get out. And I wasn't speaking on the level of COVID, but we've become so distracted and we put up with so much. Oh, I can use the word now, BS. We put up with so much BS, and that's why we feel so tired, so out of control, because out there we have no control. You go spend your money. Like we're really okay with paying $5 for a bag of chips that has a fourth of chips in there, nothing but air, right? We're okay with going in the store, needing assistance, and getting none and say nothing. That's why I got lemons in there I bought days ago, going back bad. Stop tolerating BS. Stop being that frog in that water, because pretty soon the lid's going to go on top of that pot and you can't get out. You won't be able to get out because you've been mentally detached for so long and distracted, and you've put up with so much BS till you become BS. Right? We got evil prevails because good people say and do nothing. I had a lady call me yesterday. The number has been coming up and I'm thinking, who is this keep calling me? So I looked and realized that I do know who this is. I helped her in a situation. It was a work matter that she was really being discriminated against. She's from Africa. And she said, Tammy, I had to call and thank you for what you helped me do. And all I did was I helped her put a letter together and told her how to send it. No, you don't email it. This is the kind of stuff that you go to the post office. You require a signature because now, know what? They know you mean business. You're not going to put up with the BS. Guess what? They've not just did this to her. They've did this to so many people before her. And what I told her, if you don't do anything, what do you think's going to happen for the people that come after you? And it might just be someone who say, I ain't going for the BS today. I'm going in there and I'm shooting everybody up. And haven't we seen a lot of that? We've seen a lot of it. So whatever you are growing through, that's what your purpose and your passion should be for right now. Right? It's like I say, the young man or the young girl who says, I don't need A's and B's. For what? I'm not going anywhere. I feel responsible for that. Because if everybody feels like they're not, every child, you know, and that's my baby, y'all, is for kids, their emotional state to be more important than A's and B's. You know, we'll see a young person, a baby crying, and we want them to shut up. But we see an older person crying, we'll go, "Oh, it's okay, get it out." You know, what's wrong? It's okay. Cognitive dissonance. What I'm telling you. So my journey here, I feel like I'm growing so that someone won't be my age trying to grow mentally, spiritually, that they will know who they are. And who they are is more important than what they have. Period.
Mm,
So that's my facts.
that's good. Thank you so much, y'all. We thank you so much, Mom, and thank you to the audience and to the people watching. Whether you're watching this live or this is a replay to you now on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel in this season podcast with the butterfly and bee. So please make sure that you do that. Turn on notifications so you get notified when we do upload a video or when we start a live show. But we are here every single morning at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, reading daily motivations for African American success. by Dennis Kimbro. Please get the book. We don't make a dime from it, but there's a lot of value that we get out of it. So today was Just the Facts, man. Just the Facts. That was the title. Just the Facts, ma'am. And the quote today came from Robert Woodson, director of the National Center for Neighborhood Enterprise, who said, "The only thing you can learn from studying poverty is how to be poor." He said, "The only thing you can learn from studying poverty is how to be poor." And after a brief passage about uh, about successful people not depending on fortunate circumstances and finding a way out of any way, we came to an affirmation that we'll read 3 times. One for me, one for you, and one for the person that you're going to send this to, right? Matter of fact, today, send this to your subconscious. Send it to yourself. Do it. Do
Mm.
this one for you. If you want to invite somebody, go invite somebody. But if you're getting value out of this, I think it's almost incumbent upon us to spread the good news, right? If you're getting something out of this, you should feel compelled to share this with somebody that you know and love and respect. So I'm not going to tell you to do it. Share this with yourself. I know the facts. I can be, have, or do whatever I wish. I can live a more prosperous life. Again, I know the facts.
Mm.
I can be, have, or do whatever I wish. I can live a more prosperous life. Let that really settle in. Start to digest that. Go to the mirror today and say this out loud. If you don't have the book, write this down. I know the facts, and facts are that I can be, have, or do whatever I wish. I can live a more prosperous life. In a world where you can be anything, you got people walking around on all fours saying roof like they're a dog, believing they're a dog, acting as they're a dog, being affirmed that they're a dog. So, in a world where you can be anything, why not be your best self? Why not be your best self? Okay. All right, y'all. Love y'all so much. Mom, thank you for everything you do on the back end, on the technical side. I will wipe your shoulders off if I could myself. I love you so much.
Do
And
it.
thank you for
Wipe
your
it off.
support.
Wipe it off. Yeah. Thank y'all. Thank
Yeah,
y'all.
yeah. Take
Yeah.
care, y'all. This is the end of the show. We'll see y'all tomorrow, bright and early,
Right.
same time, same place, 7 a.m. on the End This Season podcast. Thank you so much. Peace.
Peace. Love y'all.